Right.
I made a lot of people race on the super chain. Craze back outside and it's right here. It's that super bass. I just woke up and I'm like, what I'm finna do today? Measurements, major flips, makes sense. Okay, let's go. Going up, I'm going long. I told the squad, meet at the base. Punt the bags, I punt the stock. It must be hard to keep the pace. 7 figures out the songs, that was the outcome of my pain. We're bringing $1 billion on chain.
Some people gon' leave whenever there's tough times, but shout out to the real ones that stuck by. Dark days make you appreciate when there's sunshine. Reason I trust mine. Look, I got some moves to make. I gotta get it right now, I refuse to wait. Really don't do the fakes. I gotta keep my grass low just to view the snakes. If only you knew the stakes. Taking these risks to pursue was great. I got some moving bass. Now I'm on chain and I'm using bass. Using bass. Now I'm on chain and I'm using bass. I've been outside, I'ma choose my faith. Cooking the shit of a food on plates. And then when Rio be standing on business, there ain't no way we can lose this race. I had to manage the damage inflicted. Put on the grass, we don't use the brakes. Nah. So many chains I've been able to mint. So many ways now I'm taking my pick. Bullet the best while I'm still in the market. Wallets on wallets, I'm staking a bit. Face like a little B. Say what I say, now she feel to me. Make what I make, now they shielding me.
Big dog, big drums, big bass. When she look around, she see bass. Try to play keep up, but it's way too late.
On chain is the next online.
Hello, everybody. Super excited to be here. I'm Jesse Pollack, the creator of Base, and we're here to talk about Based Around the World and Based India Build-a-thon that's coming up right now. If you don't already know, Based Around the World is a month-long campaign that we're running to celebrate, support, and lift up builders from every part of the world. And I think the thing that's really driving this is that if you look at who's actually building the next generation of the internet on chain, it's people all around the world. You know, more than 70% of people outside the United States, people in India and Africa and Latin America and Southeast Asia, those are actually the places where the vast majority of building is happening. And so what we're doing is we're running a 2-week build-a-thon in each of those regions, India and Africa and Latin America and Southeast Asia. We have more than 100 ETH of prizes. And then we're capping it all off with a world tour where I'm actually going to go to Bangalore, to Nairobi, to Singapore, to Bangkok, to Manila, to meet folks in person, learn what they're working on, see how we can help them be better, build better, and celebrate all the incredible progress that they make. So today we are kicking it off with Based India. I'm super excited to be joined by an incredible cast of characters. I'm going to let them introduce themselves, and then we'll dive into some questions and hopefully some inspiration that can get folks who are tuning into this fired up, ready to build for the upcoming Build-a-thon. So why don't we start with just a quick intro from each of y'all. Samya, you want to start us out?
Yes, let's go. So, hey everyone, my name is Swami Saxena. I'm going to be doing things for Base in India. And I also run Forecaster Builders India, which is like the largest base builder collective. Previously, I've spent a lot of time in the government, in like World Bank policy, all of that. And now on chain. So excited to be here, excited to be building, thinking about problems and like impact at scale.
Shashank?
Awesome. I didn't know I was going next, but yeah, thanks for that quick one, Saxena. I'm Shashank, guys, and I eat growth for Cajun. I'm sure most of you guys have heard of IndiGG. It was a while back, and I was one of the early founding members of that. Then we've been working here. We've been building the largest gaming protocol, which is a cross-chain protocol. So yeah, I mean that should sum it up.
Awesome. Denver?
All right. So I'm Denver. I'm one of the co-founders of DevFolio. At DevFolio, we run parties for nerds and geeks. That's what I like to call my day jobs. Way cooler than hackathons, but yeah, super stoked to host these series of hackathons with Base, and yeah, excited to bring the world on chain.
And before we move on, I do just have to give a huge shout out to Denver and the DevFolio team. They helped us pull together the on-chain summer build-a-thon in June. It was an incredible success. I think it was the largest on-chain hackathon ever. And then they are running it back right now with Based Around the World, running 4 concurrent build-a-thons. And I've just found the DevFolio team to be so creative, like willing to push boundaries, willing to like really figure out like how do we help builders be successful no matter the cost. And so hugely grateful to Denver and the whole DevFolio team for making it all happen. Minal, you want to take us away?
Hey everyone, excited to be here. I've been super active in this space for good 5.5, 6 years now. Have been part of the founding team at CoinDCX. Very recently, over the last few quarters, I've been focusing on leading ecosystem and growth for Octo. At Octo, we are basically trying to build a chain abstraction and orchestration layer, which focuses on simplifying the end developer experiences. So for developers, we want to abstract out all of Web3 development. For users, we want to provide one wallet which can do everything in DeFi. And I work very closely with builders as part of Octo SDK, and looking forward to interacting with you all and building, getting more users and developers on chain.
Hey everyone, this is Prateek. I'm the founder of Levitate Labs. We are a Web3 venture fund based in India, where our vision is to help create more success stories and more startups, that go from India and ship out of India. Recently, we've also started India On-Chain Fund, to fund, all the startups over here and have some incredible success stories. We're doing lots of demo days across as well. Just a couple of days back, we did in Singapore, had an amazing sort of participation, and would love to, support all the startups out here.
Yeah, and I was watching from afar the event that you all put on in Singapore, and it looked really incredible. So thanks for all your work lifting up builders. Awesome. And again, I'm Jesse. I created Base, and I'm going to be traveling around the world to meet all of y'all in person over the next few months. And I'm so excited about that. I want to start by kind of zeroing in on what some of the kind of challenges and opportunities y'all are seeing in India right now for, challenges on like kind of what's not working, and then opportunities for like, how do we use on-chain to kind of push these opportunities forward? And feel free, anyone, to jump in. And if, maybe everyone can go in and share a little perspective.
I can start, right? Let's see. I mean, and before I talk about like opportunities and challenges, right? Like quick context on India is that like more than 1 billion people, a fifth of the world's developers here in this country, pretty much like free internet, seamless payments in the country, 5 to 7 minutes, you'll get like deliveries, you'll get food, you'll get like clothes, groceries, whatever, right? Like, so it's pretty incredible what we've accomplished as a country in the last decade or so, right? So that's like context on the country. So, but that doesn't mean like it doesn't come with like opportunities and challenges. So I think like for us, one is that a huge opportunity area is our like basic income of the country is super low. There's just like currency arbitrage to be made, which allows for the entire country to prosper. So as a bucket category which also means that like global credit opportunities for the world to invest in India, and enabling that through like micro lending, through under collateralized lending, whatever, is like a piece to think about. Those are like broader. Another piece is also like language diversity, right? Like because India is so diverse and so huge, it allows for a huge chunk of different variations of things to be built. And now it cannot be customized for every single person, but now you could, right? Like with on-chain data and permissionless building, you could do a lot around that opportunity area as well. Quick thoughts.
I love that. And I particularly love that last point around kind of like the ability to use open on-chain data to build more localized experiences. And I think it's kind of a great example of this like think global, build local mindset that I think a lot of people have been gravitating towards.
Yeah, and I would love to add, a couple of perspective from the developer ecosystem. I think, two big opportunities and positives in India. I think it has an abundant tech talent. India probably has the largest pool of open source contributors globally, which are not only contributing to the nation's development capabilities, but even global use cases, global opportunities. And second is, not only we have an abundant of user developer base, we also have a lot of quality developer base, right? So when it comes to being innovative, when it comes to being tech savvy, we are right at the forefront, right? So I think when it comes to adapting to new technologies, building on new technology, we are real fast with that. But I think the biggest challenge I see with respect to specific to developer ecosystem is the exposure and the strength of community in India, right? I think when it comes to how India is up to date with the global developments in Web3, I think we lag a little bit there. And this is all from my personal experience, right? Over the last few quarters, I've been to multiple conferences, and the amount of knowledge and value that I've gathered from there is just tremendous, right? If we can build that and enable that in India, the Web3 development in India, I think, can move 10x faster of where it is today.
Yeah, sharing some couple of points on what Minal said. I think two reasons why we feel, I mean, particularly when we are talking about challenges, is the lack of the venture ecosystem, the lack of that risk capital, which is there for builders. And I think it is one of the most crucial points, because it's just tremendous amount of tech talent, but converting that to some meaningful ideas, which is being utilized or thing, that is somewhat, we are lacking in that. And there are like multiple legit reasons for that, on why that thing is not coming. And we have spoken to, like, if you compare this to the Web2 industry, there are like 200 registered VC funds in Bangalore alone. But if you see Web3, I mean, there's no one registered in India. There are a couple of them like us operating from the outside and trying to save from the government, but it's very hard over there, on that aspect. And I think the second aspect is, we need more inspirations, we need more success stories. I think the Web2 world, there are like, I heard like 170 unicorns in India, which is next to US and China. And one of the reasons why a lot of these Web2 people go is because they get inspired. Hey, this company is gone, it's gone to unicorn. Hey, this company has raised this XYZ. So we need to create more success stories, thereby inspiring these young developers, thereby inspiring young college students to aspire and build on chain. And then I think we'll be flourished with plenty of applications which will be consumed here.
I mean, I think I'll go next, but I think I'll add a little more onto what Minal and Prateek have been saying, right? Because I deal with a lot of students and I deal with a lot of colleges myself, building out gamer communities. And in terms of opportunity, I think there's a lot of opportunities. And India being a developing country, I think the easiest and the the most optimal piece of tech that we probably will need is RWA, because I don't know, man, like the lands and the assets across have been changing at such a rapid pace. It's insane, right? People would love to tokenize most of the land that they're using, and India is growing at a very rapid pace. I've seen things change in my own city in the past 10 years. It's entirely different, right? So I'd say RWA is again probably one of the closest tech pieces that I think will have the most consumer utility in the country. And when it comes to the challenges, I think there are way too many, right? Because India dishes out a lot of engineers, and there's CS grads everywhere. The problem is they're all stuck in this service providing company loop, right? Because everybody graduates and then they go to as soon as everyone graduates, they're either employed with like a very mainstream company which is service based, and it's sort of a loop that they all fall into, right? And again, adding on to what Minal and Prateek have been saying, this is due to the lack of exposure, and they don't usually come across other pieces of tech in terms of what they're being taught in colleges or schools, and it mostly dials down to what they see on the internet, etc. Right? So it's got a lot to do with those, but yeah, I'd just like to leave it at that.
Yeah, well, I'm grateful that you guys are doing all this work to increase that exposure, and hopefully we can kind of inspire more builders to take that leap, to build their first app on chain, to see how powerful it is to build on this new platform. Because my expectation is once people start building on chain, they're not going to stop. They're just going to be doing more and more and more of it, because the reality is it's 10x more powerful. You can get 10x more leverage when you do build on chain. And that's going to give you an even better platform to build your career, to build that app you've always wanted to do, and to make an impact in your local community and the entire world. Denver?
Yeah, so like we've been trying to tackle this problem since a while personally, right? At Devfolio, to help. How do we help builders, like, really come and showcase your sort of proof of work, right? Because in a way, like, I mean, the modern college experience in India is more of sort of where you go to learn life skills, not really, how to like interact with your peers, how to form networks, and so on and so forth, right? Not so much technical education or like real learning. Like, a lot of folks today in India are internet generation kids, right? They've learned everything online, right? And how do they go out and prove that? How do they prove their worth? They can do that through credential, so through a set of alternate credentials, right? So that tech stack is something that we are really bullish about at Devfolio, which is why we try and publish some of this stuff on chain, like we did with the SBTs for the last buildathon. We are going to do it with this buildathon as well. Integrate, so that then gets integrated with base names and so on and so forth. But we'd really like many more players to come in and start publishing this data on chain, so that a more holistic picture of talent emerges, right? So that then they can then go out, and all of these opportunities which have been just mentioned by the others open up for them, right? And they get that sort of in their foot in the door, to take things ahead.
I love that. And I think that that's exactly right in terms of putting more data on chain that people can use as attestations and kind of like a data point on their progress, their impact. And I think what we're going to start to see emerge, and I think we're already starting to see this emerge, is that we're starting to have all of this information on chain around what people have done, what they've built. And that's actually going to make it easier for people to get their next job. It's going to make it easier for them to find their co-founder, other people to build with. And I think that's going to kind of accelerate this like rate of adoption, rate of learning, rate of building, because it's going to be that much easier for everyone else to connect. So we've talked a little about the kind of challenges, the opportunities. Now I want to turn it towards the buildathon. I'd love to hear from each of y'all one piece of advice that you'd give to builders who are just getting started, and then one thing you'd love to see built during the buildathon.
Like an app idea, you mean, or
anything?
Yes. Sure.
Okay, I can go. So I mean, one like piece of advice firstly, right? Like, even though the prompt is like solve a local problem, solve something for community, build for impact, all of that, great, right? But my advice is just build first, right? Like, just ship something, build, learn how to build, see something that you've created out in the world. And like that is super powerful, because it motivates you to understand about the space more, ship more, get to know the local community, get to know people in that space. And I think like just in itself, it is powerful. Now, if you can take that and marry it to, say, like insights from your friends, from your, I know, like local vendors, vegetable vendors, whoever, right? Like pick a problem in that community and solve for it, like 10x potential, right? And honestly, like solve your own problem, right? Like if you want to build Splitwise on chain, build Splitwise on chain, see how beautiful and fast that is, right? If you want to build like a betting market on chain between like peer to peer, like solve it for your friends, do that. But make something meaningful to you and to your local community, which you'll see instant usage. So you'll get that feedback loop, and like you'll feel, okay, I've accomplished something, and that leads to like further building. So that is one from like a piece of advice perspective. What I'd like to see built is slightly complex, right? Like I would like to see someone like go after under collateralized lending, someone go build something on an on-chain social graph, right? Because you already have that. You have that. Take inputs from wherever, like what Devfolio is doing. Take those attestations. See if you can allow people to get access to credit, or even rate them, right, on a certain scale, and let someone else give access to credit if they see merit in that data. So something around those lines.
I absolutely love that. And I think it does connect so much to what Denver is saying. So we're starting to put all these kind of like reputation data points on chain. And now people are going to start to be able to use those reputation data points to give credit. And one thing that I'll say is, if someone starts to build this tooling, like let's say someone built tooling to make it so anyone who participate in the Base Summer Build-a-thon or India around the world, based around the world, and like actually shipped a project could get access to a credit line. Like I'm ready to put in capital to credit it, and like I think Base is ready to experiment with that stuff. Like we want to figure out how do we get more resources to builders, and the more we can do that by using on-chain tools that are leveraging this identity platform, we're so excited to be experimenting.
Yeah, I think a couple of more ideas interesting which is coming is I think follow the trend. I mean, crypto unfortunately is that sort of thing where trend gets changed, every 6 months. I was recently speaking to a company called Glow, which does tokenization for solar farms. They came in from SF and they're doing a solar farm tokenization in Rajasthan, which ideally should not happen because someone from there should be able to do, right? Because there's an infra company which is separate, but there's just so much of things on the deep inside of it, which could be explored given the infra is very heavy here in India. And to collaborate with a lot of these B2B players and at least get some of this data flowing in. So I think DeepIn is like one really good sector where we are seeing a lot of exciting builders building something, getting that first traction enough. And it's good from the venture side as well because the tokenomics makes sense over there. The kind of halving that goes, people are attracted to the reward points, and it's a natural loop in to go. And I think second thing that we are really excited to see is on the gaming part. Gaming is dead. I think a lot of people are saying it from the token perspective, but we have seen what happened to B3 games. I mean, the kind of smaller studios that are coming and doing this exceptional fun sort of thing games. I think gaming is the first point where you can intro a non Web3 people to it, right? Because they love playing it. People like step-in kind of a games or like simple Tetrix or sort of things to come in. So I think these two are the ones which I feel can get a lot of momentum.
Very exciting. I think from my side, like one piece of advice would be to just like think product first, not blockchain first, right? If you can seek value and provide value to the end consumer, you will have an application which will work. And I think it is also at the same time important to abstract out Web3 from it, right? The end user does not care about whether it's a Web3 application or a Web2 application. What they care about is the value that they are getting, right? So I think mine is very simple, very first principle: seek value and build that value, something which requires on-chain and cannot be done maybe through a traditional Web2 way, right? I think a lot of pieces to talk about when it comes to what can come on chain and solve a lot of problems locally. But I think I personally find, a lot of opportunities in DeFi, right? So be it inward remittances. I think India is a big market, which moves a lot of money from global offshores to India, right? So I think Indian inward remittance, if not outward, can be made way more efficient, way more faster, way more cheaper, right? With the help of on-chain. And I think second one is India is a big market when it comes to gold and real estate, right? Can we use real estate tokenization to offer, fractional ownership of both and build a very efficient and fast ecosystem around real estate and gold, enabling it to be owned by, if not 10x, at least 2x and 3x of people, who are able to own it today, because real estate is not accessible to everybody, right? If I can make it tokenized, if I can make it fractional, a lot more people can own it, a piece of real estate. And I think real estate and gold are anyways the two most favorite investment asset classes for the Indians.
Yeah, I think it's really connecting back to what someone else was talking about in the conversation earlier. I think if you look at India, there's this like really strong financial system that's kind of already been built in a lot of ways, and there's this like really fast growing real estate like opportunity that's still running on like legacy systems. Like it's not connected to the like fast growing usable financial system that India's built. And so that does kind of feel like there's an opportunity there for someone to kind of leapfrog the existing tools with real estate, with land, and figure out like how do we put these pieces together and make it work better on chain, and thereby bring access to a lot more people and kind of like accelerate overall adoption. I love that.
Yeah. Shashank, would you want to take it?
Sure. I'll just add a little bit right before you can take over. As in an advice, I'd say one of the simplest advice is just pick a specialization, right? You don't have to learn everything and anything. I know India has a lot of vibe around, just become a full stack dev, you get paid a lot, and no, I mean, that's sort of a trap everybody falls into. Just pick a specialization you love. And I think the second advice would be, I know there's a lot of well-established financial, methods or like processes in India where people can transact easily for sure. But maybe the one place that I'd like to see some sort of work being done is probably abstraction and loyalty systems, right? Because India is pretty huge, man. Like India would, people who play Candy Crush and the other games, they love it because they have an EQ with it, right? They have an emotional connect with it, and that just doesn't come with just having a game, right? It's also the loyalty points you get out of it. Like it doesn't have to translate to something that has incentive, but if it does, then that's much of a stronger narrative for you to drive, right? So I'd say abstraction is one thing, and RWA was the other one, like I mentioned. But yeah, nothing else to add on mine.
Yeah, from my end, one advice is like to really try and solve problems that you see around yourself and that really interest you, right? So one thing that I feel that a lot of like even I thought similarly, like probably when I was like starting out with my career, that I sort of like, is it okay to build this or is it okay to build that? Is this cool or not? And the answer is that the person in front of you knows no better than you. You are the person who can tell them, right? Because that's what you feel like. What Soumya was saying earlier, like just go ahead and ship it and then think, right? That I think that's pretty solid advice. And even though not everybody can have like a lot of world experience, especially when they're starting out like into just building stuff, but that's okay. All of us are sort of consumers. Like nobody goes through life like with your eyes closed. You can definitely see inspiration wherever you look for it. So just some, like if I was building like apps today, like I would build a sort of a ticketing and reselling app. We recently had like a huge sort of like like I think Soumya knows what I'm talking, like everybody knows what I'm talking about. So Coldplay just announced their tour, and I think probably a million people, there were a million people on waitlist, right? And there was this whole secondary market for reselling all of these tickets. So I would build something music for that. I would build something for being accountable for my habits, right? Let's say I want to pool money and I only get it back if like I do 10 push-ups verifiably every day. Maybe I get my data through my Apple Watch, or I get it through my glucose monitor or something like that, right? Or I could do on-chain reviews for people. And maybe a fourth is something that, every month I get a phone call like from some like, number which I can't really verify. And they sort of guilt trip me into donating towards a charity. Now, the only like, there's two parts to it, right? I just donated one because I want to probably stop getting these calls and I know they will not leave me alone. But the other chance is that there's a chance that maybe what people are saying on the other side is true. But what happens to my money after I donate it, right? That sort of 1,000 or 1,500 rupees that I'm donating, is that actually going and benefiting? Like, is it going towards fees of students in some part of the country as advertised? Or is it just some sort of operation, like, I don't know, scammy operation under the hood? I would want to know that, right? And so sort of me doing this on chain, I would just choose an NGO or a donation stack that's on chain rather than something that's not, right? So these are some cool apps that I think.
I love it, and such a good mix of ideas and advice. I'll throw a piece of advice and an idea in as well. The piece of advice I think is kind of like amplifying what Soumya and Denver have saying, which is just like get started building. It can be really hard to get started, but the second you write your first line of code or organize your first event and get some feedback and like color, A, you're going to feel so excited because you're going to get some validation from it. And B, you're going to learn so much more because you're actually going to have something that people can react to. And so the hardest part is taking the first step. And I would just really encourage folks to like make the jump, build something, take the day, take the afternoon, take the week, build something. Now is your time to build something. And it starts with you. And then the idea, and this is more just like a kind of amplification of this, is you don't have to be technical to be a builder, and you don't have to be technical to build in this build-a-thon. One way to kind of succeed in build-a-thon is to build an app that solves a kind of local problem in your community. The other way, though, is to take existing on-chain tools and figure out how to apply them in your local community to bring people on-chain and to solve problems. And that's really important too. Onboarding is building. Creating is building. You can be creative in whatever skill set you have and make a difference in the world. And we in the Build-a-thon and Base and all of us want to support you in doing this. And so if you're wondering, can I participate? The answer is yes. You can participate, and we want you to participate, and we're going to reward you and lift you up for participating. And so thank you all for tuning in to this. Thank you to the incredible set of folks who talked and shared all that wisdom and insights. And I can't wait to see so many of y'all at the opening ceremony on Thursday, and then in the Build-a-thon and in person in Bangalore in early November. Have a great day, everyone.